Awesome.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell is going on there. But anyways, so
Uh,
what kind of got you into playing music in general?
oh my God. I mean, I guess I started really young, man. I
Hmm.
started in school. I mean, everybody kind of started in band, right? So
Right.
like, I started out on the drums as a young kid,
Okay.
single snare, whatever,
Right.
and then kind of just moved on from that. I kind of went on guitar
Right.
while I was in school,
Okay.
and then moved on to bass. So I remember the first band I was in, I started out on bass, and that was fuck, man, forever ago in Colorado
Oh,
when I lived
okay.
out there. Yeah, yeah.
Were you
Uh,
born in Colorado or?
no, I moved to Colorado around God, when did I move to Colorado? I moved to Colorado, must have been like 1980, 1981.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I was born in 73, so it's like I was old enough to remember, but
Right.
yeah, like I spent most of my life in Colorado, and then in '99 I moved out here to Minneapolis.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I've noticed, I don't know if it's recently or if it's been for a while. Has the music scene down there always, or I'm sorry, I guess it's up there. I
Yeah,
don't know. I'm geographically challenged for sure.
yeah, I know the feeling.
Is it always been pretty good as far as like underground music, like crust and D beat and hardcore and stuff like that?
It has, man. I mean, that was kind of the reason why I moved here in the first place. But at that time, you had like you had Profit Existence going strong. You had Extreme Noise Records, which we still have,
Hmm.
and tons and tons and tons of shows. I mean, during the '90s, there was a ton of shit going on. And I mean, I started coming out to Minneapolis around 1995, and then and that's what drew me here is because it was so strong. Like it was fucking insane, like punk hardcore community out here, right? So
Right.
that's when I came out here in '99, and then Colorado. I had to leave Colorado just because there wasn't really much for me there anymore. It was just one of those things where, I love Colorado, it'll always be my home, but at that time things were just kind of dying, at least for what I wanted to do. So that's why I relocated. But I mean,
Right.
now Minneapolis, every scene in every community has a lull.
Hmm.
You go through a couple of years or a few years where things kind of dry up, and especially with the pandemic,
Hmm.
you couldn't do shit. So
Right.
there was a lot of music writing at home, and then once pandemic passed, if it has, whatever,
Hmm.
it's insane, dude. It's like shows are happening all the time. There's always tours, and I mean, I can't hit every show because it's like it's all the time, and so the kids are going crazy too, and that's kind of the thing now, right? Is that you know for for where I'm at in age,
Hmm.
the kids that are growing up, like that's the next generation. So you have 15, 16, 17, all the way up to 20-year-olds,
Right.
where I'm twice their age. They're now coming out. So they're doing what we did
Hmm.
a couple decades ago or more. And they're
Right.
just losing their fucking minds. They're going insane. So the energy is amazing right now. It's just absolutely amazing. It's like how I remember it when I was young. You
Right.
know? Yeah.
Yeah, and that's crazy to think about too, because like, I mean, it's definitely a very, I guess when it comes down to it, it's kind of a very niche style of music. It's definitely not like fucking AC/DC or some shit
Yeah, dirty
or
rock and roll. Right, right.
or Katy Perry or whatever.
Yeah. Although
It's
there are pockets. Yeah,
for
yeah.
sure.
Right.
I just think it's cool that there's like young people that are still interested in like listening to this type of stuff.
Totally.
And I've
And you're
noticed,
in you're in St. Louis, is that right?
correct, yeah.
Okay. How is it there? I'm kind of curious.
As far as for like, I guess this specific type of music and everything around it, it's not huge. I
Right.
guess with the kind of shit that we play, we end up playing with like a lot of like just straight up metal bands or
Yeah.
like metallic hardcore kind of stuff.
Right,
Um,
right. I
so
mean,
it's cool. There's definitely a scene here, and it's kind of like you said earlier. It does have its little time periods where it kind
yeah,
of seemed like it dropped off, but like right
yeah.
now, it's definitely cool. There's like a lot of, like you said, younger people that are getting more interested in that style of music. So,
It's insane, man. It's totally nuts.
hmm.
That's cool though. But that's an interesting point too, because there was a long time where there was a time when kind of, crust was, crust is like when punks started to learn how to play their instruments and it had a metal edge to it, so to speak, right?
Exactly.
It has a tinge to it, right? So like back in the day, there was a lot of grind blast beats that was also introduced as crust. And so it was, there was a broad spectrum of kind of metalish meets hardcore meets punk without any subgenre at that time, right?
Exactly.
Now we have subgenres. So here in Minneapolis, it's like a lot of the metalheads are now integrating into the DIY punk and hardcore culture, and they're becoming a part of it. And it's almost vice versa. So it's become each end of the spectrum is kind of supporting each other, because the world's a fucked up place and they want a positive place to go. And I think everybody recognizes that. And they're not going to put up any walls or have any more borders with this shit,
Right. And that's cool to hear somebody say that, because I remember in the early 2000s, I used to play more along the lines of like metalcore kind of shit or whatever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And, which is weird because I can't fucking stand half that shit now.
Yeah.
And, it used to be very like clicky whenever you went to shows. It was like the metal guys were here, the hardcore guys were over here. And it was like a big clash whenever there would be like a hardcore band playing with a metal band. Now it's just kind of like a weird but cool kind of open thing, I think.
Yeah, it definitely, man. It's like a mishmash, dude, I'm not a metal guy. Like, I don't like, I appreciate some metal, I don't buy metal albums. I've always been a fucking punk dude, and it's not because I'm like closing my mind or anything. However, there are times when like you grow up with cliques and, you're looking for an identity and a sense of belonging. Right. And, the punk and hardcore community always did that for me. And so I wasn't familiar with the metal community. So now that things are kind of, like I mentioned, being more of a mishmash, my horizons have broadened to accept that with open arms and be like, well, if you believe what I believe and we're striving for a better world together, so to speak, then fuck, why not open our arms, Right. I don't have to like every single kind of music that you like, but that doesn't mean we can't get along and enjoy the same energy,
Exactly.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, and it's weird. I think I can definitely have a conversation with somebody that might not necessarily believe all the same shit that I believe, and I'll still have a bit of respect. But at the same time, in the back of my head, of course, there's always this thought like, "Oh, fuck you, you don't believe that." But at the same time, that's kind of like, that's almost like being the opposite of what a lot of this shit kind of is intended for. I think. Is not being understanding of people that don't necessarily agree with everything that you have to say or whatever,
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. What are you drinking there?
I'm drinking Four Hands Incarnation.
Oh, nice. I haven't heard of that before. I've got an Irish golden ale.
Nice.
Sullivan's. Yeah.
So pretty good. Cheers.
It's pretty good, man. I like my ales and I like my lagers,
Yeah. I've become kind of the fucking nerd of beers, and I hate it's like, it's annoying because obviously everybody's like, "Oh, you like the fucking beers that taste like a fucking skunk fart," and I'm like,
yeah. Here comes Mike with this opinion. Yeah,
right.
Right.
So like, you guys have played quite a bit of shows out of town and stuff like that, right?
War Plague.
Yeah.
There was. Yes. We these last handful of years, minus the pandemic, we've been trying to do as much traveling as possible. Mm-hmm. There was a long stretch there towards the beginning where we couldn't really travel because our drummer had a couple girls, young daughters.
Right.
Excuse me. And so, if you're a father, you understand how it is. You got a kid, it's kind of tough. You got to knuckle down. But, now that they're getting older and they're growing up, we have way more freedom. So now it's time to hit the road. So like we'll always try to get out of town at least once a year now, right. And so we've got 2 shows out of town coming up. So in August, we're playing with Misery in Chicago.
Okay.
And then we're planning a Pacific Northwest, some handful of gigs out there for later in the year.
Nice. And what do you?
We want to hit Europe next year, possible. But I mean,
oh shit,
we'll see what happens, man. Money and shit.
Right, for sure.
Yeah.
Now, do you, and I ask this only because of playing in a handful of bands and early on in it, like the teenage years when I guess I didn't have responsibilities and shit, I did a little bit of touring. And I know for me, when I did it, the playing the shows was always fun, but like the traveling to me fucking sucked because I hate being in a car for that long. What do you kind of think about touring? Do you enjoy it, or do you think it's stressful, or?
I don't know. It can be both. You know, it really depends on your experience, man, because I'll say, dude, I used to play in Provoked, which was an old DB crust band from here. You know, we were around for 6 or 7 years, and we did a fuckload of touring. We did like 2 European tours and then some, and each of those were 6 weeks. And so, you know, by the time you get done with that, you just want to fucking kill everyone, and it's not worth it. You know, it's like, if you want to tour and you want to have passion for what you do and enjoy it,
right,
you need to kind of pull back the reins and be like, okay, I think a week or 10 days is enough, you know, because you come back and you feel driven to do more. You know, you don't want to burn yourself out on the road. So now when we go out on the road, it's, you know, we're lucky to do 5 to 7 dates, you know, and it's good because, you know, we're older, man. You know, we've all got fucking jobs and families and shit. And, you know, touring, it's different now with us personally, because it's really hard for us to, like, you know, sleep on a hardwood floor somewhere because somebody's back is fucked up, or, you know, somebody has a bad knee or something, you know, like whatever, an age thing, you know. So we usually budget out, you know, we'll get a room, you know, and we'll crash there. And, you know, it's that kind of experience makes it better because you wake up refreshed. You know, you wake up refreshed and you get stoked to go out and do it again. So now touring is great. Now I look forward to it. You know, the only thing that's a problem is, you know, leaving my lady and leaving the dog. You know, it breaks my heart every time. But you know, she supports me and my family supports me, and so we're just going to continue to do it. We all love it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I'm 35, so I'm not, I guess, old or young. I'm obviously right there in the middle, but I definitely feel like shit. If I spend the night at somebody's house, even just sleep on the couch or something, I'm like, fuck, this fucking sucks.
Oh yeah, man, you got a fucking kink in your shoulder, you know, you probably got 2-3 hours of sleep, you know, and it's like, are they gonna party? Are they not gonna party? And so it's nice to budget things out and get a cheap room somewhere and get some rest.
Oh yeah,
so you can do it all over again, you know.
And shit, even at that, I mean, getting, you know, older, it still probably isn't as nice as sleeping in your own bed as it is to sleeping with multiple guys in a hotel room, you know.
You know, burping and farting and snoring, you know. But we've been a band for 15 years and we've known each other longer. I mean, we've known each other as friends for 20-25 years.
Yeah.
You know, so we love each other, so we can burp and fart around each other all we want. We're a family, you know. So
for sure. I
still like getting my cheap hotel room at the end of the night and getting away from those guys because they fart a lot.
Has everyone in the band been in the band since inception, or has there been any lineup changes?
There's been some lineup changes, but towards the beginning. So in the beginning, we had we had our first drummer and we had our first bassist, and our first drummer was the first to go. He moved. He had to deal with some issues in his life, personal, which was totally understandable.
Right.
And then we had Chad come in around the end of our first year, give or take.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Chad has always been with us since then. So he's been with us for 14 years or something. Then, you know, Chad used to play drums in Calist way back in the day, and he's been in other bands like Wraith and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then our bassist left a handful of years later. I can't really think, but it was a handful of years, maybe like the 4-year mark or something like that. I'm not sure. Right. But then we had our current bassist Vern come in. So we've been steady since then.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
Yeah.
And you guys have been a band for 15 years. Is that right?
Yeah. We hit 15 this spring.
Holy shit. Yeah. That's, I mean, especially today with everybody just being 80 everything, that's a long fucking time.
It is, man. You know, it is considering attention spans and things like that. But we're fucking, man, you know, I'm not trying to toot our own horn, but we're constantly driven. Every time we fucking drop an album, we just keep on writing and keep on writing. And so that's why we're trying to travel more. It's like, okay, well, let's just stick with the same songs for at least a year.
Right.
And tour that album out, you know? So we're trying to find a little bit more of organization instead of letting our ADD take over and write, you know?
Right. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. How long has Mindclop been together?
I think we maybe like a year and a half going on.
Really?
Maybe 2 years.
You guys are good, man. You guys are real good.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
We need to get you guys up here too.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we'll have to figure something out. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, let me know.
It's funny. The only experience I have of coming to Minneapolis was the most fucked up worst one, but obviously I'm not saying anything bad about it. It seems like a great place, but despite it being fucking freezing when it's cold, but
yeah, man,
I hear that's not a very fun thing. But in the earlier 2000s, whenever we did our very small little stint of touring, we went up there, and this is like around like when MySpace was first around, so we booked a bunch of shit on there.
Oh, nice.
And we ended up playing 2 shows in Iowa and just some rinky-dink places, and it was pretty bad, but it was obviously we were teenagers, so we didn't give a shit.
Yeah,
we drive all the way up to Minneapolis. We go to the venue that it's supposed to be at, and the people at the venue knew nothing about a show that was supposed to happen or anything like that.
I've been there before, man.
Yeah. How many times does that happen to you?
Oh, fuck. We had a show in, was it Baltimore? I don't know, man. This was like 2001 or something like that. We had a show in Baltimore, and a really good friend of ours who we're still friends with booked it for us. And we showed up, and he's like, "Hey, guys, what are you doing here?" And we're like, "What the fuck, man?" So we ended up playing. He literally put together a show at the last minute. About 30 people showed up, and he took a bunch of donations. So it was fine. It was interesting. But yeah, I've had other situations where you show up and people are like, there's a house show tonight, like at our house. Like, so yeah, I've been there, but I'm kind of curious. So what venue, or was it a house that you were supposed to play here in Minneapolis?
I mean, it was actually a venue, which is kind of weird because most of the time we played in like fucking churches or sometimes like VFW halls, whatever somebody could rent out or get a hold of. And
totally,
we played at like little small places that were like basically a giant closet, which is my favorite shit to do anyways. But
get people right in your face.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. But this is supposed to be a venue, and then nobody knew anything about anything. So we basically got back in the fucking van with no AC and drove all the way back to St. Louis or the surrounding area from Minneapolis.
You live and you learn.
Oh yeah, for sure. And then that guy like deleted his MySpace, so we never heard anything from him again.
Wow, that was like a power fuck up.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know what really happened there.
Yeah.
So what do you think is making Warplague kind of stand the test of time as far as this kind of music is concerned? Because I was kind of listening to some of your guys' stuff earlier, because I've listened to a majority of it, but I kind of went back and I started listening to an older record. To you guys had a split with I can't remember the band name.
We did a bunch. We did Police Bastard. We did a split with War Wound, with Axe Grinder, with Fast Station. Yeah, there's a bunch.
The War Wound one was the one I was listening to.
Okay, yeah.
So I kind of heard a progression as I went along. So I'd listen to maybe like a couple songs and go to the next one, a couple songs, the next one, a couple songs.
Yeah.
I think personally, and usually I don't think this way, I think the newest one is, in my opinion, probably my favorite one from your guys' stuff.
Oh, the Manifest?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cheers, man. Thanks. Yeah, so our sound has definitely evolved with every record, and it's kind of by design. And I mean, not like, oh, well, let's write something different. It's not that. Warplague, we have our own kind of signature sound to some degree, but
for sure,
we've evolved for sure. I mean, the previous few, like our first few albums, like doesn't really reflect who we are now, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And we're definitely I don't know, man. Like people have thrown different fucking titles around, like fucking Neo Black Crust or whatever. It's like, okay, like if you want that, I guess. Like we don't care. Like I'm a punk rocker. We're all fucking punks, and everybody. Each member has their own flavor, so to speak, but we all love the same music, kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah, so it's a culmination of different flavors coming together. But yeah, this last one was interesting. Like 90% of that dude was written during the pandemic. And so we'll all usually sit down, or like someone will have an idea and we'll just demo something and build off that. So that's kind of how the album was written.
Okay.
But thanks for the kind words, man. That's awesome. Thank you.
Oh, no problem. And the thing is, like, I'm not the type of like for most part, I can like a lot of I can't even explain the right way I'm trying to explain it.
That's okay. I'll get it.
I like a lot of music that has a very raw sound to it. Sure. But it's nice to hear a band that has a raw sound and attitude, essentially, like you're saying, you guys are, okay. I guess kind of identify more in the punk realm. But there's definitely some metal aspects to it. And it's nice to hear something that has that raw sound, but in a good recording every once in a while. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, man. And that's a good point too, dude, because like, dude, there was years and years and years where we could not. I mean, many bands around here couldn't find a decent studio that really understood, and a lot of us were like really influenced by Scandinavian hardcore, a lot of fucking DB. You're wearing the shirt right now, like that fucking band, that genre, that whole like family of Swedish sound is like a lot of the stuff that we're really influenced by, but it was killer. And it's kind of like, well, how do we get that kind of production? What the hell is in the water in Sweden that we can do here,
Exactly.
Yeah. And it took a while to find one place, man. And there was a dude here. His name's Adam Tucker. He runs a studio called Signature Tone. And we've been going to him for years now because he finally started nailing it. And we're like, okay, so we don't want a sterile sound. I feel like if we go with like a pristine sterile sound, it's going to just take away from it because we want grit in there. We want good production, but we want grit, man. We want, it's kind of weird. It's like you want punk rock with like a slight death metal production to it, and I'm not really a death metal fan at all, but it's like you hear some of that shit and you're fucking blown away, dude, So it's like, why not take that kind of value and put that into the punk rock arena? And I think it kind of works, man,
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And like I was listening to what's the new one called again? I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Manifest Ruination.
Okay. Yeah. You could literally ask me a band that I've been listening to since I was born, and I couldn't probably name the actual title of 2 songs. I'm definitely that kind of person. I just know the
one
music.
Black Flag record. Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
But I noticed on that one, there's a lot of like really cool, like riffs and shit like that on there, just like little solo-y parts that tie in really well, and then they just go right back into it and just beat the shit out of you, basically.
Yeah, kind of lead line stuff, like none of us are like crazy like lead guitarists. Like we don't claim to be a lead guitarist, and we're not. But we like layers,
right?
We like to have lead lines and stuff. And so I think a lot of the writing we've been doing these last handful of years, we've been trying to really work with our layers, And so I think that's where that comes from.
Yeah. Well, it sounds fucking sweet.
Cheers, man. I appreciate that a lot.
Oh, no problem. So as far as like the future of the band, I know you said you guys are doing some out of town stuff and some like kind of almost week long kind of things. What else does everybody kind of have to look forward to as far as you guys?
We like to stay busy, dude. We like to stay active, and so if we're not writing, we're trying to travel. If we're not traveling, then we're booking future albums. If we're not doing that, we're booking future shows. So we've got a good handful of gigs coming up locally. These probably in the next month or two, I think. I mean, we've got the gig in Chicago in August, but I mean, after that, I think we're really focusing on tightening up a set. Getting a good set down. So once we hit the Pacific Northwest, and then outside of that, we're we're literally jumping into next year, man. We're like planning out, okay, we'll go out and get some beers and we'll write down like, what do you guys want to do?
Right.
And then, okay, what can you do? How much time can you get off and where do we go? And so that's why, maybe we're talking about overseas. We'll see what happens. It's a lot can happen between here and now, but we are trying to stay busy.
What kind of like places overseas are you guys thinking about going to?
Well, nothing specific, but I've been talking to some folks over in Europe. We would love to play the UK, at least get 1 or 2 shows there. But, I don't even know what's going on with Brexit. I don't even know if it's possible for us to even show up as a band there. I got to start asking questions, but
right.
And then maybe play some festivals, it's kind of one of those things where if we're not allowed a lot of time to get away, at least we can get out and hit a festival.
Right.
So we're keeping our eyes peeled on that stuff. So
yeah,
if anybody wants us to come to their fest, let us know.
For sure.
Yeah.
And like as far as what are some of your favorite bands that are like in the Minneapolis area that are current?
Oh fuck, man. Well, Misery started playing again, so I've done art for those guys over the last few albums and fucking used to live at the Misery House. I don't know, they're good friends of mine. And then I played in a band with Johnny from Misery for a few years. Which that turned out to be a disaster. But I don't know, man. There's a lot of stuff going on. Let me think. We just played with Surrogates. Surrogates, I think, is a really good local hardcore band, and they've been getting pretty hot lately. They do a Poison Idea cover, and so that makes me extremely happy. Oh, yeah. Yeah. There's Vacant, which is kind of ex-members of Ass Rash. They're fucking super good. Good hardcore punk. There's a band called Sex Cells.
Is it CE?
Yeah. So that's Michelle and a few. That's Michelle from Whorehouse of Representatives. Okay. And then a few other kind of veteran. It's all made up of veteran folks around here. But we got a lot of younger kids coming in too. We've got a hardcore band. These kids they're not even old enough to drive, man, and they pack clubs, dude. But they're called Identity Crisis. Okay. Like even No Echo did a feature on them, so they're doing really well. Yeah. We got another kind of DB band called Infantile Disease. We've got Infuriate. There's tons, man. I don't know. And there's just different genres. Like we're doing a show later on this year and we're still getting bands together, but it's all punk, it's all hardcore, and it's all metal. Yeah. And everyone's stoked to do it. They're like, fuck yeah, metal guys like bring the punk band. The punk guys are like, bring the metal band. So that kind of goes back to what you were talking about, about integrating, and it's working really well right now. So, we're trying to grasp onto that and utilize it. So, hell yeah. Yeah, man.
What do you, obviously being a kid at some point, there was maybe somebody showed you a record or something like that kind of got you into it, or what do you think?
Yeah, I have a story, but I got to put it in a nutshell, but I said this story before, but it's
4 minutes on the timer.
Okay.
There.
All right. I'll make it quick. So
I haven't upgraded.
I've been through the 45-minute thing before, but yeah. So anyway, I was like in 8th grade. I was living in a shitty redneck town in Colorado. I remember I was getting off the bus and a friend, this was the end of school day. A friend of mine approached me and he had 2 cassette tapes and he hands them to me and he goes, "My mom won't let me have these." Right. And I'm like, okay. So I looked down at them. I've never seen them before. And one said Suicidal Tendencies with some dudes hanging upside down. And the other one was kind of a purple cover that said Misfits Walk Among Us. And so I've never heard of this shit before. Right. Went home immediately. I had my red boombox, dude. I put them on and I was instantly converted, man. Instantly. Yeah. Oh yeah. And so I lived about maybe 12, 15 miles away from Boulder, Colorado at that time. So I used to try to make it into town to go to Wax Trax Records, man. And I was just buying every fucking record when I had any kind of money. And so it hasn't stopped since then. Right. Okay. Shit. How much were records back then? Fuck, man. $5 for an LP, $7 for an LP.
Now it's fucking.
But I mean, back then that was expensive for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Get $5 from a, you know, living in a shitty little redneck town. It was really tough, you know?
Right.
There's no paper routes to make money.
Was your like family or your immediate family always kind of supportive of your idea to play music, or were they not really into it?
No, not at all, man. As a matter of fact, that Suicidal Tendencies tape, I mentioned that, you know, they have that song in there, I Saw Your Mommy and Your Mommy's Dead, right? So I had that tape in my boombox, and I came home one day from junior high, and we lived in a shitty trailer in this town, and I opened the door and my mom is standing at the fucking counter in the kitchen, and she's holding a hammer, and she fucking stares me down and she goes, I saw your mommy and your mommy's dead.
Oh shit.
And she fucking took the hammer, dude, and she shattered it.
Oh my God.
Violently. And I mean, that's where the rebellion started.
Yeah.
Because I lived in a shitty town. I couldn't find it anywhere. So it was like, that was the last time I was ever going to fucking have that tape, which now I've got an original pressing. But, you know, when you're a kid, that's treasure to you, man. It's your gem.
Oh, yeah.
She was pissed, dude.
Fuck.
Very pissed.
It seems like it.
Yeah, man. She didn't like it at all.
Dude, I'm kind of glad that the like actual physical copies and media is starting to be on the rise again and coming back, because I miss like I said, we've got a little bit of a age gap. You know, you were saying you got the Suicidal Tendencies on cassette. I was getting like CDs and cassettes in the late 90s, early 2000s and stuff like that. And most of it was awful shit that I probably couldn't even turn on right now without laughing.
Yeah.
But I just think it's awesome. All that shit's coming back. Do you guys,
crazy.
You guys have vinyls, don't you?
That's all we have. Well, we have CDs and tapes too, but our main emphasis is 12-inch pressings. That's all we have. Like, you go to our web store and it's all vinyl.
Okay.
You know, we do have some CDs. There's actually a label overseas now called Global Help Records. They've just started re-releasing our previous records all on CD, which we've never had before. I mean, we've done a box set on CD, but you know, so yeah, we're doing that. And also, obviously, tapes are super fucking hot too, because it's like the first thing to sell out when we do a pressing is like, oh, there's like 50 tapes, and they sell first before all vinyl. Like, okay, they want the tape.
I always wonder how many people actually get the tape and take it home and put it in a tape player and listen to it, or if it is just more of a
nostalgia thing or something.
Exactly. Yeah. Which, I mean, fuck, either way, it's cool. It looks like it says less than a minute. Fuck.
Okay, man. Well, we can sign off.
Alrighty. Well, thanks for coming on today, man. I appreciate it. It was nice talking to you. Do you have anything
thanks, Mike,
to plug or anything?
I'm working on some new music. My other band, Fear of the Known, with members of KSUK and Disorder, we're working on a new LP. Warplay's going to be doing some travels. I don't know. Check out our Facebook or Instagram.
Okay,
we're
cool.
there. Yeah, man.
Awesome, man. Well,
cheers,
thanks for coming, and I hope you have a great rest of the weekend.
Yeah, cheers, man. Thanks for the talk.